Tonight had a surprising lot of character development, but it also had the worst good cop, bad cop routine I have ever seen. And it wasn't even that they were trying.
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing.
Both Sides Now, Supergirl, episode 13 of season 3. And oh boy, what those two sides are and how they come together is a lot to unpack. But for those of you that haven't been following as closely, Supergirl's been all about redemption, hope, and that kind of feeling you have when you lose something. You know, like a boyfriend that goes off and is distant, or a girlfriend that became a fiance. We also had the Legion of Superheroes guest starring, so that's cool. For those of you that don't know, what I do here is I review stories. I take them apart, put them back together again, and try and figure out what makes them tick. Or as I like to say, get to the heart of the stories we tell. If that sounds interesting, click subscribe. I'm just shy of 100 subscribers. When I do, I'm giving away an Amazon gift card. But for right now, we're talking world killers. Yup, kind of like Doomsday. Kryptonian group of genetically engineered supermen, even by Kryptonian standards, that are hiding out on Earth. And the first one was Rain, along with a whole cult worshipping Supergirl that turned against her because, well, the rain has come.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Ba-da-na-na.
Tonight's episode really had a tight formula. In fact, I love the way the subplots all informed on one another. And we're going to start off with the fact that Supergirl goes after the world killer, but the person who really stands out at that moment is the way that her sister Alex, like I said, good cop, bad cop, ends up showcasing her own problems. Remember, she's still having problems with the fact that Maggie's gone. And I can understand that, your fiance leaving you for something like that is totally messed up. But then we're going to switch over for a second to problems over in the Legion. We find out that Mon-El didn't marry Saturn Girl because of love, but out of a sense of duty. It was this whole, bring the noble houses together sort of thing, which is kind of weird. But you need to now compare and contrast those two. You have a couple that was together for a reason that was bad, and a couple that split up because of a reason that was bad. But at the end of the day, they're both trying to go through these things that are very realistic. How do you deal with something? Now, in this particular case, Mon-El's dealing with something a little weird because of the time travel aspect, but realistically, think about this for a second. What happens when an ex comes into your life? You sit there and you go, oh man, I remember all those good times and I'm going to forget all those bad times momentarily. Unless they were psychos. I've got a couple psychos in my past. But even still, this goes into the third subplot. And that is the one that has Ruby missing her mother and Lena coming to help her find out. And now in this case, it's Ruby who's specifically missing something, and in this case her mom. And Lena is filling in the surrogate mom role the way we had seen Alex do in an earlier episode. But this is especially important because you have to remember Lena has some mommy issues as well, and some daddy issues and some big brother issues. The whole family has issues. So at the end of the day, each of these stories are interlinking in that way. And we have a really great moment where all of it really ties together with the fact that Supergirl is still trying to make a connection, because that's what this is all about. How we connect to one another. How Supergirl connects to Lena, how Supergirl connects to the Legion, all of it. Martian Manhunter says that if you think that keeping a secret from your wife is hard, imagine trying to keep one from a Martian when we literally bond our thoughts and emotions every night. And you know what? That's a really cool thought process. I mean, we can't Vulcan mind meld the way they can because we're not telepaths, but there is a certain amount of if you're open, if you're honest, and how much pain you'd be shirking, how much of it you'd not have to deal with if everyone in your life could just be open and honest, instead of hiding behind gruff exteriors and fighting when you don't really want to. And how much easier would it be for the Legion of Superheroes if Mon-El could say, look, I'm not really fully over Kara. I love you, Saturn Girl, but sometimes when I'm with Kara, I still remember, and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not a jerk. Or if Alex could say, oh, this whole thing with Maggie has me so tied up in knots, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But of course, both Alex and Valor are going to run into the whole, oh no, I'm tough and macho. Now, by the end of the night, both of them do have moments where they realize their softer side is what's needed. There's also the kind of funny moment where they're trying to work on the car, the guys. I don't know, for some reason, I just want to compare to that girls' night out earlier this season, except point out the fact that the guys are way worse at actually communicating their emotions, and as such, it's hysterical to watch. But as interesting as all the subplots are, and as important as they are for all that character growth, this is still a superhero show, and this is still Supergirl. So let's talk some knockdown, drag out, awesomeness, superhero action. Alright, we actually got to see at least 2 times that we had a full set of superheroes on screen acting super heroic, and it didn't seem like any of them were holding back or being minimized in order to facilitate the plot. We got to see them totally fight Purity twice in this episode. So let's just talk about who and what Purity is. Purity is one of the world killers, and we've seen them before. I don't know exactly why it is that they've taken up their hiding spots, but they have because they needed it, I guess. Now, when they first talk to Purity, Purity actually says that they decided on because they needed to wait for someone to come. So I don't know if that was Rain specifically, or if it was Supergirl appearing for the first time, or what was going on. But I just want to start off with the fact that the first time we meet Purity, we actually meet her alternate identity, singing with her headphones on and playing with something, and I'm like, that totally could have been me that Supergirl went after. Well, except for the fact that my voice sucks, so, I'm not as good of a singer. Alright, so Purity has this sonic attack, and Wynn does a great job at figuring out a way to nullify it. But it almost felt too easy. There's one of those things where I'm like, I understand that the sonic force ricocheting through your ears, that the noise canceling part will work, but her sound was so loud that it was able to rip through concrete. It was able to rip through the ground. It was able to be a sonic blast. That's, your earpieces aren't going to do anything about that. That's just concussive force. Now, whether or not she had the full set of Kryptonian powers, I'm not sure, but obviously she has super strength and super speed and all of that. So I'm gonna just work on the assumption that she's a full Kryptonian set of powers, plus that sonic scream. I mean, we've seen Supergirl and Superman in other incarnations use sonic screams, so. At the end of the day, Rain comes for her, though. And they almost had her convinced to not go with Rain. But she had to. She had to not because she was forced to, not because she's evil, but because she's good and Rain was threatening Alex. So to protect Alex from Rain, she has to choose to. And again, it's that whole interconnectivity. It's the moments when you sit there and you say, what are making these characters do what they do because they're connected and the way their emotions feel towards each other. It's just really strong storytelling. And I'm not used to that on the CW. I'm used to a little more kidified, oh, I love you and you love me and we're beautiful people type thing. But in this particular case, with the exception of Mon-El and Saturn Girl, and even that, it was a very adult way of handling things, all of this was interconnectivity between adults handling realistic issues. But of course, in unrealistic ways, because, well, superheroes. And again, we have Rain come in and lay the smackdown. Now, there's part of me that thinks that it was a little too easy for the World Killers to take down all 4 of the heroes, but I also am reminded of the fact that they didn't bring Saturn Girl with them. So, there's a little bit of, hey, that was you being stupid. And, I mean, they have Brainy, too, although I'm not quite sure what Brainiac would have done in that situation. I did like the way the fights went down, though, and the most important part is at the absolute end. And it has to do with the secret identity in reverse. In this case, the villain having it rain. Lena was called when Ruby was scared. And like I said, she fills in the blank as Ruby's surrogate mother, and that's really cool because of the way she feels. But she's also smart as a whip, maybe even a full level 13 intelligence. So we're left kind of with a cliffhanger, but not really. Sort of ish. Where Lena has sat there and said, I know what's wrong with you. And I'm working on the assumption that she's correct and she's figured out that she's Rain. And the reason is because Ruby told her, hey, she disappeared on this day and this day and this day. Hey, look at that. The days she disappeared just happened to be the days that it was Rain showing up. And the fact that she was missing the time that Supergirl got her butt kicked royally by Rain really is saying something. And of course, that's before you account for the fact that Ruby already knew that Rain had come out a little bit. Remember the super strength from the absolute beginning of the season. Ruby could have told her about that. I don't know if she did or not, obviously. This is all guesstimates. But now we're left wondering, what's Lena going to do with this information? What will Lena do for Rain, for her friend? Does she just call Supergirl and be like, hey, I figured this out? And of course, we then have the fact of Rain's Achilles heel is probably going to end up being Ruby. But the same way that we had problems tonight with how far people will go, how much are you going to risk putting Ruby in danger by having her confront Rain? And that's going to be my question for you tonight. Do you think that Ruby is going to have to be the one to confront Rain? Because that's what I've believed since the beginning of this. Let me know down in the comment section. And of course, as always, if you could leave me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. I'm just about at 100 subscribers, and so I'm getting ready to give away an Amazon gift card this month. And when I do, wouldn't it be great if it was you? But even if it's not, just come, be part of the community. We're going to talk, we're going to exchange ideas and thoughts, and get to the heart of the stories we tell. For now, I'm curious to see whether or not Supergirl's on next week, because I saw the Legends are back, but I didn't see a preview. Well, for now I hope you have a good night, and thanks for watching.